it's compliment after compliment after compliment after compliment. And your ego is huge, you're just brimming with praise and you're absolutely loving yourself. And then there's one little negative comment and you carry it around for the rest of your life. The first point I want to make in regards to criticism is to discern whether the critic is in your target audience or not. You know, it's a bit, it's unnecessary to be offended by an elderly person's opinion of your children's book when you wrote it for a child. They are not in the target audience. You can dismiss their opinion. Now, if they are the target audience, if the child doesn't like it, right, then it invites you to learn from the experience, to find out what they didn't like about it. But first point I'd like to make, are they the target audience? Is it for them? The second point I want to make around criticism, it's okay, this point is in regards to the creator. If you're afraid of upsetting your audience, don't worry. It's possible to love an artist and not enjoy all of their work. For example, the Beatles have released somewhere between 150 and 200 songs. Only about 60 have made it onto my playlist. There are some I am indifferent to, some I'm like, meh, and there's some I absolutely love. You don't have to have your audience love everything you do in order to be loved as an artist. One way you can view criticism, and one way you can frame it, is that those who perceive that they are below you are trying to knock you off your pedestal. For example, back when Man United were top dogs under Sir Alex Ferguson and winning everything, any non-Man United fans would take great relish in every time Man United slipped up. They would absolutely cheer loudly and make sure to get in the face of any Man United fan whenever they lost. But now, Man United have had a very poor run of form. Losing has become the norm. They haven't won a trophy in a while. And now it's funny that the non-Man United fans don't seem to celebrate Man United losing that much. And I think the reason is because they're not top dogs anymore. They're not winning all the time. It's not really fun, to celebrate their losses. So this kind of odd phenomenon in human nature, I think there's a similar vein in criticism, where people are purely criticizing Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, because they are the top dogs, because they're winning all the time. That it's actually nothing personal, it's just the position that you occupy. They're criticizing Tom Brady right now, but as soon as he retires and some new, it could be Patrick Mahomes, then takes the place and becomes the number one quarterback, they'll start criticizing him too. That it's purely the pedestal more so than a personal attack. Another positive, helpful way to frame criticism is that it's just an opinion. When someone says that your piece of work is terrible, they are simply expressing their view. It is not a fact. It's not just because they say it's terrible does not mean someone else is going to think it's terrible. Someone else might absolutely love what you made. For example, Star Wars. I love Star Wars. My mum hates Star Wars. It's the exact same movie, and it's created two very different reactions. Exact same movie. Another way that you can frame criticism is the idea of the man in the arena. An unbelievable quote from Mr. Roosevelt, where he's describing that those outside the arena, those in the stands, and those who they're throwing criticism at the man in the arena, right? And then it's a much brave position to be in the arena, getting your face dirty, making mistakes, rather than up in the stands, not playing the game, not putting yourself into a position where you're exposed to risk or mistakes or public scrutiny. So that's one way you can frame it, that the critic, it can be helpful to frame it that the critic is not as brave as you, that you are showing exemplary bravery by exposing yourself to risk and criticism, and they are not. Another little insight into criticism, something I learned from kind of neuroscience, if you call it that, or maybe it's psychology. A good turn of phrase to sum it all up. We are like Teflon for praise and Velcro for negativity. Our brains, that is. One really good piece of advice I read recently is to increase your reaction time. To feel criticized may provoke and trigger feelings of being attacked, right? And that might trigger the chimp brain in the back of your head, the amygdala, and you might go all caveman and you might want to lash out at, like, let's say, this keyboard warrior. But by increasing your reaction time, you let the chimp calm down, maybe you sleep on it, and you kind of re-engage the human inside you, and you can view the situation scenario rationally and react rationally. Another little thing that we can talk about when it comes to criticism is the Dunning-Kruger effect. An interesting term. It's essentially when an amateur overestimates their own ability and underestimates the professional's difficulty in their obstacle. So, for example, some couch potato sees Ronaldo miss an opportunity and thinks, oh, he could do a better job. So yes, the Dunning-Kruger effect. A lovely sounding term, Dunning-Kruger effect. I think when it comes to criticism, self-awareness can be crucial. If you know that you're particularly prone and defensive when it comes to bad reviews, then see if you can cut them out of your life. Turn off comments. Don't read the newspaper. Don't make sure someone else filters your reviews. Don't read your reviews online. Yeah, bit of self-awareness goes a long way when it comes to criticism. Now, the majority of my points have been making towards not taking criticism negatively. There is a very positive way to use criticism too, and that's constructive criticism. In fact, that those who regularly put themselves forward for constructive criticism see tremendous growth, and that is a key aspect of improving in creative fields. So, yes, constructive criticism, always great to put yourself forward for it, but where people get most upset is usually not constructive criticism, it's usually criticism as sophisticated as that was shit, and that's what annoys people most. So finally, my kind of last point when it comes to criticism, all these strategies are really cool, and they could work really well for you. Framing it that you're the very courageous person and the critic is not. Framing it that they don't fully appreciate the difficulty of the task, the Dunning-Kruger effect. So all these strategies are very good, and by all means, use not just one of them, use all of them, whatever it takes to help you get through the process. But I think, in summary, when it comes to criticism, we are faced with kind of a crossroads, right? Where one half of us wants to hide and kind of retreat out of the exposure, that they feel vulnerable to put themselves out there, and that they don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to expose themselves to potential criticism again, and that is a very that's a natural reaction. I think everyone feels that, and that is if criticism is too much for you, then absolutely that is a sound logical move to retreat from the public eye or the criticism, and to remove yourself from potential criticism. Now, to consider the alternative route, that if you don't stop, that what the critic wants really is to kind of to make you stop. That you probably did this creative pursuit for a reason, that you probably liked it, you probably enjoyed it, and that there is great growth and resilience in continuing to go on, to persist, despite these negative comments. That you will build great resilience by continuing. And to kind of add another little insight or another framing technique, Seth Godin gets criticized on pretty much every book he does, right? And there's no book that he's written that hasn't got a 1-star review, where someone has taken to the online reviews to slate him or tell everyone that they think this book is terrible. And I'm extremely grateful that Seth Godin continued to contribute despite this, that he found a way to overcome this negativity, because it ended up that he wrote books that changed my life forever. That is a very generous thing to do, to persist despite negativity, to help someone else, and that could be how you view criticism as well. That you're not here for the critic, you're looking to maybe inspire or help someone else. And yeah, that's all I've got to say for today. Thanks very much. I'm Thomas. See ya.